The bride ran away on her wedding night. My name is Emily. I was only 19 when my parents told me I had to marry a man named Daniel. He was 10 years older than me, rich and respected in our town. I had never spoken to him properly before, but my parents believed he was the best choice for me. I wanted to continue my studies, but no one asked me what I wanted. They only said, "Emily, this marriage will bring security for you and for us." I cried in my room at night, but the wedding day kept coming closer and I felt like I was walking into a trap. The day of my wedding was grand. Music played, relatives laughed, and lights shined across the street. I wore a heavy white gown that made me feel like a doll instead of a bride. People kept looking at me, saying how lucky I was to marry such a man. But inside, my heart was not happy. I felt like I was being sold instead of being married. Daniel looked handsome and confident, but his eyes did not shine with love. They looked more like eyes of a man who had bought something expensive and was proud of it. When the ceremony was over and everyone congratulated us, I forced myself to smile. My hands were cold and my lips trembled, but no one noticed. I was now his wife, and I was supposed to leave my parents' house forever. My mother hugged me and whispered, "Be a good wife. Endure everything." Those words broke me. Why should I endure? Why could I not be happy? Still, I kept quiet. That night, I entered Daniel's bedroom for the first time. The room was big, filled with perfume and flowers, but it felt strange, almost like a prison. Daniel closed the door behind me. His eyes scanned me from head to toe. He touched my arm and said, "You are mine now." His voice was not gentle. It was filled with control. My body froze. I wanted to run, but my legs would not move. He sat on the bed and told me to come closer. My heart beat fast and my chest felt heavy. He tried to kiss me, but I turned my face away. He laughed a little and said, "Don't act shy. This is your duty." His hands pulled me closer and I felt trapped. I begged him, "Please give me time." But he did not listen. His strong grip reminded me that I was weak and alone in that room. I felt tears in my eyes as his lips pressed on my neck. My whole body shivered, but not from love, from fear. I tried to push him away, but his strength was more. For him, I was only a bride, a body to own. For me, it was a nightmare. Finally, I cried loudly and shouted, "Stop!" My voice shocked him for a moment. He looked angry, but then let me go. He said coldly, "Fine, but remember, you are my wife. You can't escape me." Then he lay down on the bed and turned away, leaving me sitting on the floor in my gown, trembling. That whole night I did not sleep. I sat near the door, hugging my knees, staring at the moonlight coming from the window. My heart whispered, "Run away, Emily. Run away before it's too late." But I was scared. Where would I go? What if people judged me? What if my parents rejected me forever? Still, the thought of living with a man who saw me as property killed me inside. The next morning, everyone in the house celebrated, thinking the first night went well. They smiled at me, but I felt broken. I stayed quiet, served tea to relatives, and acted normal. Daniel ignored me the whole day, as if nothing happened. That silence was even scarier. At night, when everyone slept, I made a decision. I packed a small bag with clothes and money I had hidden in my dress. My heart pounded as I tiptoed across the house. Each step felt like thunder in the silent night. I opened the main door slowly, praying no one would hear. The cold wind hit my face as I stepped outside. For the first time I felt free, but also terribly afraid. I walked fast, almost running toward the bus station. My wedding gown was still under my coat, and people stared at me. A young man asked, Are you okay? I ignored him and kept walking. My tears rolled down, but I wiped them quickly. I only wanted to escape. When I reached the station, I bought a ticket for the nearest city. My hands shook as I gave the money. I kept looking back, afraid Daniel or his family would appear and drag me home. The bus finally came, and I climbed inside. My body was exhausted, but my mind screamed with questions. What if Daniel found me? What if my parents cursed me? What if society destroyed my name? But deep down, I felt something stronger, the desire to live free, not as a slave wife. On the bus, I met an old woman who looked at my swollen eyes and asked gently, "Child, are you running from something?" I wanted to lie, but her kindness broke me. I whispered, "Yes, from a marriage I never wanted." She held my hand and said, "Then you are brave. Don't go back. Make your life yours." Her words gave me courage. When I reached the city, I rented a small room with the little money I had. Life was not easy. I worked in a cafe, cleaned tables, and washed dishes. People judged me when they learned I had run away from my husband. Some called me shameful, some pitied me. But every night when I lay on the hard bed in my tiny room, I felt lighter than I ever did in that big house. I had no jewelry, no wealth, but I had freedom. Weeks later, Daniel found me. He came to the cafe one evening, his face filled with anger. My heart almost stopped. He said, "Come home now, Emily. Don't embarrass me further." The whole cafe went silent. Everyone stared at us. I shook with fear, but then remembered the old woman's words. With trembling lips, I said, "No, I will not come back. I want a life of my own." Daniel's eyes burned with rage. He threatened me, but people in the cafe stood around me, protecting me. The manager called the police, and Daniel finally left, shouting that I would regret it. My legs felt weak, but my heart was strong. I had finally spoken for myself. Months passed. Slowly, I built a new life. I studied in night classes, saved money, and dreamed of becoming a teacher. I met new friends who respected me, not for being someone's wife, but for being Emily. My parents did not forgive me quickly, but one day my mother secretly called and said, "I miss you, my child. I wish I had given you a choice." I cried for hours after that call. Looking back now, I know I did the right thing. Running away on my wedding night was the hardest decision, but also the bravest. If I had stayed, my soul would have died each day. Society called me a runaway bride, but I call myself a survivor. My story is not just about escape. It is about finding courage when the world tries to lock you in chains. And so, whenever I see a young girl being forced into marriage, I tell her my story. I tell her, "Do not be afraid to run if your heart is not happy. Life is too long to live without love, respect, and freedom.